Welcome to English Podcast.
I am Lisa.
And I'm Eric. Do you want to improve your English easily? If so, you're in the right place. So, let's get started and make English learning easy.
So, what are the words today, Eric?
The first word today is initial. Then, we will continue with unlikely and to tease. Then, dive into. And the final one is on the ball.
Okay, let's start with the first word.
The first word we'll explain today is initial.
Initial.
Initial. Initial is an adjective that means first or happening at the beginning. When we talk about something initial, we are talking about the first stage or first idea of something.
Exactly. We use initial to describe something that happens first, before other things. For example, we might talk about an initial idea or an initial plan. Eric, could you give us an example sentence?
Sure. Here's the first example. My initial reaction was to say no, but then I changed my mind. It means that at first I wanted to say no, but after thinking more about it, I decided to say yes.
I'll give another one. The initial stages of the project went smoothly. This means that the first part of the project went well and did not cause any problems.
Now, let's hear a short dialogue using the word initial.
What was your initial thought when you heard about the new business strategy?
My initial thought was that it could be difficult to do, but after seeing the details, it seemed it could be done.
I had the same initial reaction, but after some discussion, I think it might work out well.
That dialogue shows how initial can be used to talk about first thoughts or first reactions to something new. Eric, would you say initial is a common word in English?
Definitely. It's commonly used in both spoken and written English. It's especially useful when discussing plans, ideas, or reactions. It's a very useful word for both formal and informal situations. It's not formal or casual, so it fits many situations.
I agree. It's a great word to know when you want to talk about the beginning of something, whether it's a project, a plan, or even feelings.
Absolutely. It helps to clearly describe what happens first before other things take place.
That makes sense. Well, that's all for the word initial. We hope our listeners found it helpful. Okay, let's move on to the next word.
The next word we'll explain today is unlikely.
Unlikely.
Unlikely. Unlikely is an adjective, and it means that something probably won't happen. So, if something is unlikely, it's not very possible to happen. When something is unlikely, there is a very low chance of it happening.
We use unlikely when we want to say that something probably won't happen. For example, if it looks like it's going to be sunny all day, rain is unlikely. Eric, let's give some example sentences so our listeners understand it better.
Sure. Here's the first example. It is unlikely that we will have snow in July. This means there is a very low chance of snow in July because it is usually hot during that month.
That's a good example. I'll give another one. She is unlikely to come to the party because she is feeling sick. It means that there is a low chance she will attend the party because she is not feeling well.
Great one. Now, a quick note on grammar. Unlikely is an adjective, so it describes a noun. It is often used with to plus a verb, like unlikely to happen or unlikely to win. You can also use it with that, as in, it is unlikely that.
Now, let's hear a short dialogue using the word unlikely.
Do you think we should bring an umbrella for the picnic?
I don't think so. It's unlikely to rain today. The weather forecast says it will be sunny all day.
That's good to know. And what about our friend Mike? Do you think he'll come?
I think he is unlikely to come because of his big exam tomorrow.
That dialogue shows how unlikely can be used to talk about the low chances of something happening, like rain or someone coming to an event.
Yes, and it's a very handy word for everyday conversations. It's quite common and is useful when you want to talk about possibilities. It's great for both casual and formal conversations.
I agree. It's a word that is easy to use and understand, and it helps make your speech or writing clear when discussing probabilities. So, do you think it's more useful for talking about weather, plans, or other situations, Eric?
I'd say it's useful in many situations, like discussing the weather, events, plans, or even news. It helps to set expectations about what is or isn't likely to happen.
I agree. Well, I think we have explained unlikely fairly enough. Let's move on to our next word.
The next word is to tease.
To tease.
To tease. To tease is a verb, and it means to make fun of someone in a playful or sometimes unkind way. When you tease someone, you might say something to joke with them, but sometimes it can also hurt their feelings.
Exactly. We often use tease when we talk about joking with friends or siblings. It can be friendly or rude, depending on how you do it. If you tease someone too much or in a rude way, it might not be nice. Eric, could you give us an example sentence?
Sure. Here's the first example. Her brother likes to tease her by calling her funny names. It means that her brother makes fun of her by using silly names.
That's a good example. I'll give another one. The kids teased him about his new haircut. It means that the children made jokes about his new hairstyle, which might have made him feel uncomfortable.
Great examples. Now, a quick note on grammar. It is often followed by about when specifying what you are teasing them about, like tease him about his haircut or about her accent.
It's a word that can be used in informal situations and can be negative if teasing is too harsh or hurtful. Now, let's hear a short dialogue using the word tease.
Did you see how Mark was teasing John today in class?
Yes, I did. I think he was just trying to be funny, but John didn't like it much.
Yeah, sometimes people don't realize that teasing can hurt feelings.
I agree. A little teasing is okay if everyone is having fun, but we should always be careful not to overdo it.
That dialogue shows how teasing can be used in both a playful way and might upset someone. Eric, do you think tease is a common word?
Definitely. It's quite common, especially among friends or family members. It's useful to know because it helps you understand different types of social interactions. However, we should be careful when we use it because it can be negative sometimes, as we said.
I agree. It's important to know that while teasing can be fun, it's best to be sure the other person is not hurt.
Exactly. It's more useful in casual conversations because teasing usually happens among friends, siblings, or people who know each other well.
Exactly. Well, I think we've covered to tease pretty well. Shall we move on to our next word?
Let's do it, Lisa. The next word is dive into.
Dive into.
Dive into. Dive into is a phrasal verb with two main meanings. The first meaning is jumping into the water, like diving into a swimming pool. The second meaning is to start doing something with a lot of energy and focus, like when you start working on something excitedly.
Yes. So when we say we're going to dive into something, it usually means we're going to start it with a lot of interest and enthusiasm. Now, let's look at the first example sentence. After lunch, I'll dive into my homework. It means that after lunch, the person will start doing their homework with focus and energy.
Exactly. Here's another example. We decided to dive into the project right away.
This means they started the project immediately and with a lot of excitement or focus. They didn't wait. They just got started.
Let's talk a bit about grammar here. When we use dive into, we usually follow it with a noun. For example, dive into homework or dive into the project. When we use a verb after dive into, we use the ing form. For example, I will dive into learning English.
Yes, and so you can't separate dive and into. You always say them together. Now, let's give a short dialogue to show how dive into can be used in a conversation.
Hey, Tom, what are you up to this weekend?
I'm gonna dive into learning Spanish. I bought some books and found some online courses.
Wow, that sounds fun. Can I dive into it with you? I've always wanted to learn Spanish too.
Of course. Let's dive into it together.
This shows that dive into is a great way to talk about starting something, especially when you're ready to work hard or focus. It makes the action sound exciting or important.
So, Eric, do you think dive into is a common phrase in English?
Oh, definitely. It's very common, especially when we talk about starting something new, like a project or task. It's informal, so you often hear it in casual conversations. It's also a fun way to express that you're enthusiastic about beginning something.
I agree. It's a friendly and informal expression, and it's great for encouraging others to start something without hesitation. You'll hear it in schools, workplaces, or even when people are talking about hobbies.
Exactly. So remember, when you're ready to start something with energy, you can say you'll dive into it.
All right. We hope you found dive into helpful. Let's move on to our last word today. Eric, what's our last word for today?
Today's last word is on the ball.
On the ball.
On the ball. On the ball is an idiom, and it means being alert, quick to understand, and ready to act. When someone is on the ball, they pay attention and do things well.
That's right. When someone is on the ball, they do a good job and pay attention.
Exactly. Let me give an example sentence. Our new secretary is really on the ball. She never forgets anything.
This means that the new secretary is very good at her job and doesn't make mistakes.
Good explanation. Now it's your turn, Lisa. Can you give us another example?
Sure. Here's another example. If you want to succeed in this job, you must always be on the ball. It means that to do well in the job, you must always be alert and quick.
Now, let's hear a short dialogue using the phrase on the ball. Here's a conversation between two co-workers.
I noticed you finished the report early, Tom. You're really on the ball this week.
Thanks. I knew we had a deadline, so I wanted to be prepared.
It's great to have someone on the team who's always on the ball.
In the dialogue, Tom is happy because being on the ball means he's doing a good job. They both use the phrase to talk about being focused and ready for work.
So, Eric, what would you say about the idiom on the ball?
It's very common in everyday conversation, especially when people want to talk about someone who is doing something well or paying attention. It's informal but very positive.
I agree. It's a great phrase to use when you want to compliment someone for being organized, focused, or quick to understand something. It's also easy to use and understand.
Exactly. So, remember, when you want to say someone is alert and doing a good job, you can say they're on the ball.
Good example, Eric. All right. That's it for today's episode of Simply Explained English. We hope you found today's episode helpful.
Thanks for listening. Keep practicing your English and stay on the ball when learning new words.
Bye for now. I am Lisa.
And I'm Eric. Do you want to improve your English easily? If so, you're in the right place.
So let's get started and make English learning easy. Okay, Eric, what are the words today?
The first word today is inevitable. Then we will continue with leap and embark on, then sort out. And the final one is hit the nail on the head.
Great. Let's start with the first word.
Sure. The first word we're going to explain today is inevitable.
Inevitable.
Inevitable. Inevitable is an adjective, and it means something that is certain to happen and cannot be avoided. So, if something is inevitable, it will definitely happen, no matter what.
Exactly. We use inevitable when we want to say that something can't be avoided. Now, let's look at the first example sentence. With so much traffic, it was inevitable that we would be late. It means that because there was so much traffic, being late was sure to happen. They couldn't avoid it.
Here's another example. If you don't study for the test, failure is inevitable. This means that if you don't prepare for the test, failing is something that will definitely happen. You can't avoid it if you don't study.
Let's talk a bit more about how to use inevitable. We often use it when we want to talk about something that is sure to happen, usually something negative or something we don't want. It's a strong word, so use it when you are sure about the result.
Good explanation, Lisa. Now, let's move on to a short dialogue to show how inevitable can be used in a conversation.
Did you see the game last night? Our team lost again.
Yeah, after the other team scored twice, it seemed inevitable that we would lose.
I agree. It was inevitable after we couldn't score in the second half.
In the dialogue, Alex and Ben both used inevitable to talk about their team losing. Alex said, "It was inevitable after the other team scored twice." Ben agreed, saying it was inevitable because their team couldn't score.
Yes, and this shows that inevitable is often used when we talk about something not surprising because it was sure to happen, like losing a game or being late.
So, Eric, do you think inevitable is a common word in English?
It's somewhat common, especially in formal or serious conversations. You'll hear it in situations where people want to express that something is certain or unstoppable.
I agree. It's a useful word, especially when you want to sound a bit more serious or formal. You might hear it in news reports, business meetings, or even in everyday conversations when discussing important things.
Exactly. So remember, when you want to say that something is certain to happen and can't be avoided, you can use the word inevitable.
Good summary, Eric. Okay, let's move on to the next word.
Sure, Lisa. The next word is leap.
Leap.
Leap. Leap is a verb that means to jump high or far. For example, the dog leaped over the fence. This means that the dog made a big jump from one side of the fence to the other side. The dog went from one place to another with one big jump.
And here is another example. She leaped into the pool with excitement. It means that she jumped into the pool in a quick and happy way. She did not just walk in. She made a big jump into the water because she was excited.
That's a good explanation. Also, we often use the word leap with over or into, like leap over a fence or leap into the air. It shows what you are jumping over or where you are jumping into.
That's correct. Leap can also be a noun. For example, it was a big leap for him. Here, leap means a big or important jump.
Good point, Lisa. Now let's use leap in a short conversation.
Did you see that rabbit leap over the bush?
Yes, it was such a high leap. I didn't know rabbits could leap that far.
They leap like that when they are scared. It helps them escape from danger.
Wow. I wish I could leap like a rabbit.
In this dialogue, leap is used to talk about the rabbit's big jump over the bush.
Yes, and when Emily says, "It was such a high leap," she means that the rabbit jumped very high. Leap shows that the jump was big and quick. By the way, leap can also mean progress, success, or a big step towards something. For example, the new product was a big leap for the company. It means the new product led the company to big success.
Good point, Eric. Now, let's talk about how common the word leap is. Do you think leap is a common word?
I think leap is not as common as jump. Jump is used more often in daily conversation, but leap is a good word to use when you want to sound a bit more descriptive or talk about something bigger or more sudden.
Yes, that's a good explanation. And I think leap is a little bit more formal than just saying jump, don't you think?
Yes, leap sounds more dramatic than jump. It makes things sound bigger or more impressive. And remember, listeners, that leap can be both a verb and a noun. As a verb, it means to jump, and as a noun, it means a big jump. So it's a versatile word to know.
Okay, I think we've covered the word leap enough. Let's move on to our next word.
Our next word is embark on.
Embark on.
Embark on. The word embark on is a phrasal verb, and it means to begin a journey or start something new. For example, they embarked on a trip to the mountains. This means that they started a journey to the mountains. It shows the beginning of their trip. When we say embark on, it often means to start a journey or a new adventure.
And here's another example. She decided to embark on a new career as a writer. This means that she started a new job or career as a writer. She is beginning something new in her life. Now, let's see how we can use embark in a short dialogue.
I am so excited to embark on my journey around the world.
That sounds amazing. When do you plan to embark on your adventure?
Next month, I want to see new places and learn new things.
I'm sure it will be an unforgettable experience. I hope to embark on a similar trip one day.
In this dialogue, the word embark on is used to talk about starting a journey. David is excited to begin his trip around the world.
He uses embark on because it describes starting something big or new.
Now, let's discuss how common the word embark is. Eric, do you think embark is a common word in everyday conversation?
I think embark on is a bit more formal than start or begin. It is often used when talking about travel, big projects, or something special.
Yes, I agree. It's not a word we use every day, but it's a good word to know, especially when discussing new experiences or big plans.
That's right. It adds a bit of excitement to what you are starting. Instead of just saying start a journey, saying embark on a journey sounds more adventurous.
And that makes it useful for writing too. In stories or travel blogs, embark on can make the text more interesting.
Definitely. And remember, when you use embark on, you start something, a trip, a project, or even a new phase in life. And I hope our listeners enjoyed learning about the word embark on today.
I hope so, Eric. Let's move on to our next word.
The next word is sort out.
Sort out.
Sort out. Sort out is a phrasal verb. It has two meanings. The first one is to solve a problem, and the second one is to organize something messy or confusing.
It's a very useful phrase in everyday English. Eric, can you give us an example sentence?
Sure. Here's our first example. I need to sort out my closet this weekend. It means that the person needs to organize their closet and make it tidy this weekend. Now it's your turn, Lisa.
Here's my example. Can you help me sort out this misunderstanding? It means that the person is asking for help to solve or clear up a misunderstanding.
It's important to note that sort out can sometimes be separated. For example, you can say sort it out or sort the problem out. Now, let's listen to a short conversation using sort out.
Hey, sweetie, your room is a mess.
I know, Mom. I'll sort it out after school.
Okay, but don't forget. And can you also sort out your dirty laundry?
Sure, I'll sort everything out before dinner.
That was a great dialogue. Did you notice how they used sort out 3 times?
Yes, I did. It shows how versatile this phrase can be.
Eric, is sort out a common expression?
It is very common, Lisa. People use it a lot in everyday speech.
I agree. Do you think it's more formal or informal?
Sort out is more informal. In formal situations, you might say resolve or organize instead. It's also a really useful phrase for talking about fixing problems or organizing things.
Absolutely. It's a handy phrase to know. When do you use sort out most often, Eric?
I use it a lot when talking about organizing my home or solving small problems at work. How about you?
Same here. I also use it when I'm making plans with friends and we need to figure out details. All right, I think that wraps up our explanation of sort out. Let's move on to our last word today.
Today's last word is hit the nail on the head.
Hit the nail on the head.
Hit the nail on the head. Hit the nail on the head is an idiom that means to say or do exactly the right thing or to describe something perfectly.
It's a colorful way to say someone is exactly correct.
Yes, Lisa. Let me give the first example sentence. When John said the project needed more time, he really hit the nail on the head. It means that John's comment about the project needing more time was exactly right. Now it's your turn, Lisa.
Here's another example. She hit the nail on the head when she said the project was too big. It means that she was exactly correct when she said the project was too big.
Good example. Now, let's listen to a short conversation using hit the nail on the head.
What do you think is the main theme of this book, Tom?
I think it's about the importance of friendship in difficult times.
Well done, Tom. You've hit the nail on the head. That's exactly right.
Really? I'm glad I hit the nail on the head. I wasn't sure if I understood it correctly.
That was a great dialogue. Did you notice how they used hit the nail on the head twice?
Yes, I did. It shows how we use this phrase to praise someone for being correct. Lisa, is hit the nail on the head a common expression?
It's fairly common, Eric. People use it when they want to emphasize that someone is exactly right.
Is it more formal or informal, Lisa?
Hit the nail on the head is more informal, Eric. In formal writing or speech, you might say precisely correct instead. People often use it in discussions or debates when someone makes a very accurate point. It's a fun way to agree strongly with someone.
I agree. It's more interesting than just saying, "You're right," isn't it?
Definitely. It adds color to the language and makes conversations more engaging.
Well said, Lisa. Remember, everyone, idioms like this one make your English sound more natural and fun.
Great point, Eric. Well, that wraps up our episode 92. We hope you found today's episode helpful.
Thanks for listening. Keep studying your English. See you in the next episode.